A very unplanned video, guys. Welcome back to the channel and a new video. The Range Rover LSE Soft Dash Classic. I know a lot of you said don't abandon that project, etc, etc. Guys, we haven't had the time to get on this car for the last 3 years, and with the developments at the yard and the way things have moved forward, there's probably a chance we won't get on it for another 10 years. We know this is a rare, sought-after Range Rover, but in the end, I just got annoyed with taking the bits from one place to another place, and then the paint shop that was doing bits of it, he went off and got a job somewhere and stopped doing that. So it kind of put this project on hold. But like I said, with the developments with the yard, these containers are going to be getting moved. It's imminent that there's going to be an IAB lorry coming in to move this one, and we're not going to be able to do it with that Range Rover in there. No one's probably going to buy it in the state it's in at the moment, i.e. completely stripped out. But we did do all of the welding work, and if I zoom in there, you can see all of the shuts were done. They was all painted. Everything's painted. So nothing is going to stop me. All the inside's all lovely. Nothing's going to stop me chucking all the bits back in it and start bolting down a few bits, because ultimately, as you can see, the whole container is full up with these car parts, and there's no reason why a lot of them can't go back on. So let's start pulling it out and getting this one back together. So quite self-explanatory here, guys. I'm removing everything from the front of the Range Rover, putting it in the other container, just in case it rains. I can shut all the doors and then go back to it when it stops raining. So in with a mini digger, cut the chains on there, and out it comes to see the light of day once again. Bit of air in that tyre, is flat at the bottom. So obviously this is never how we expected this to plan out, guys, and it's the channel just took off, didn't it, when we started doing this, and you can't spend all of your time on one car, and it just got left and put to the back of the queue and was waiting on other people. But it's collected a little bit more dust since the last time I see it, but luckily it hasn't been in here too long, and you can see all of that welding and seam work that Chris done. He really did put in the hours on this. It's had all new back arches, hasn't it? All up under the arches. I was looking while I was pumping that tyre up. Look, they're all sealed up, all perfect, ready to have a coat of paint on there. And I think these are black underneath. And you could actually, yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much. This back glass and handle is actually in beautiful condition, and it had been replaced at some point. Everything's all still laying in it nicely, but again, covered in dust. So I only had to put a little bit of air in that tyre, and I couldn't even remember that these doors had been put back on. Let's try and work out how to open it. And all of the inside of the doors have been done. Again, all B posts, all new rear arches. Let's actually go through the nuts and bolts. I'm going to be looking for these little star drives in order to put that door back on. I'm sure that's where it's no, in fact I can see now these are still on the other door and these are still bolted to the car, so it looks like they just hook on. Let's get everything out of the inside first, and I want to start putting some of the insides back together. And straight in here, getting everything out the inside of it, straight in with the sunroof cassette. I did say it's going to rain, so it's just a few 10 mils, bolt that up. Even though the doors are open, it's going to keep the weather out. The underlay, that was nice and light. It wasn't when we took it out, was it? It was sogging wet. Put that down and then carpet straight over the top of it. Very easy to work on this one, where it's so big, and it's, of course, the carpets are all self-explanatory and separate, one for each side and one for the back. In with the back carpet. Fighting the elements a little bit, but doing really well, believe it or not. First things first, I've got that sunroof cassette back in, because it's going to rain, isn't it? And although, yes, it's got no doors on it, you're going to get a bit of a splash in there. It's not going to get soaked now that that cassette's back in. And actually, whoever restores this car is not going to have that cassette back out, because, guys, we had the roof done. The roof on this car is mint. We'll actually give it a little rinse off later. But the roof has all been painted And it doesn't matter whether they're going to paint the whole car and you'll say it might slightly be out. You'd never ever tell, purely because all the C, B, A posts, all of them, sorry, A, B, C, D, they're all satin black on this car, all of them. So your paint colour comes to here, then you've got that much gap with the black and then the green, but you can see how mint that paint is under there. And also the scuttle panel has been done as well. So, all the underlay, all back in. I've got to put so there's some other little tiny bits of carpet. There's nothing underneath the seat here. That's just where the seats bolt down. And that piece of carpet there, if you remember from the very first video when me and Chris done a will it run on this, it actually had an LPG gas conversion. And it was all underneath the carpet there. It had all been cut up and butchered. All the pipes had come through here. But obviously since then, we have put a whole new floor in it. And that's also all been painted as well. So all I can do is carry on, I think. Oh, sorry. Also put all the door rubbers back on. Albeit they're not 100% straight yet. And that is because they've been lying coiled up in a box for quite some time. I am just going to continue now putting this back together inside, i.e. the seats. To be honest, it's been very straightforward to put it all back together. When I was putting it back together then, I could remember how easy it was when we actually took it apart. It was all, where it's all quite big, it's Phillips screws, it was all quite straightforward to get to. And like this carpet had a little plastic nut on it here, and then it just tucks underneath this air vent. You can see it's not quite under there, but they all went back in fine. And again, no reason why they need to come back out. All of the welding under there's done, isn't it? Anyway, let's carry on. All I can do is carry on, slowly getting through the bits. And it is coming together now. Just going to put those quarter panels on. So one spire clip, they hook round the back there. Same with that side, and then straight in with the back seats. In with the other side, just 410 mils on this one, 2 each side, and it was exactly the same on the other seat as well. I've bolted the spare wheel up there just to keep it out of the way, and then put both of those back panels in, loaded the door panels inside, no point fitting them, the glass is not in the doors. Tailgate on. Let's not mislead or fool anyone, guys, it's far from back together, and I am literally temporarily putting this car back together so that everything is there. I mean, this car comes with every single part, but it just aids as well, showing that it's all there. I've bolted the spare wheel up. There's no point in that laying down the side there and getting in the way. All 4 door panels are in the back. The tailgate's on. Quarter panels. Again, if you look in there, just one spire clip. They're hooked around the corner so they can't come off. They have rivets in the back, and then of course like 1, 2, 3, 4 spire clips, and then some down the edge here. The door's on, but I just need to chock the bolt that I've put through to hold it, or actually find the striker. Same with the front door. Back seats in, carpets in. Look how nice it looks. This genuinely is a lovely car, this LSE. I'm not going to get that out, am I? No, too awkward. And both of the front seats are in, centre console. Again, it is all just resting there, but it's going to aid carrying it as well, isn't it? It's going to aid carrying all of the parts, because you haven't got to bring a van and a trailer. In a moment, Chris just popped in to make a coffee. We're going to lift the bonnet on and then try and get that scuttle down, at least underneath these hinges, so that's safe. That scuttle panel was painted, but again, is that going to be, I mean, the roof don't matter, but is that going to be a nice match to the doors and the wings once they're painted? Or could they mask it up and paint it? Possibly, yes. So that one's going back on. But same again with that quarter panel, just one spire clip and it's hooked on round the corner. And the only bits I put in this new container this morning was the door tops, front and back bumper, side skirts and seats. And now the seats are in. There's a couple of under dash trims there to go with it. And of course, I've got 2 pieces of glass there. All of these boxes are for that car, aren't they? So I'll probably, even though the seats are in there, you can actually fold them and then double fold them so they're right up behind the 2 front seats, and you'll get all of these parts in there. So that's really, all of it is interior trim, but you have got the rocker covers, and I know the plenum's in there, and it was all soda blasted, wasn't it? So it's all quite nice. We've literally got, that is the rest of the bits, them 2 boxes and those bits there. So nice to actually have, I mean, even if we've got to back this back in here today for a little while until we find a buyer for it, but at least it's going to have a lot of the bits back on it, isn't it? I'm not even going to get carried away and fit all the back lights. I don't think there's absolutely no point, is there? We've got them. I think they're in this one, or possibly in, they're oh, there they are, there. There's the back lights. I mean, I could bolt them in and it would save, again, storing them inside, but is it really going to matter? Let's carry on and get a few more bits on it. Getting carried away now, putting this front bumper on, and this is a bit of a foul, you'll see later in the video, but just a couple of bolts through there. They're like really long 13 mils just to hold that on, and then a couple of little 8 mils from the bumper to the wings to hold it. I cannot remember what I'm doing around the back here, guys, but probably rooting for a box, looking for that grille, and there it is. Just push that on. Didn't want to put all the headlights in. Scuttle panel, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, getting it underneath that rubber. I had to stop and get some charge in the camera, and I got proper carried away, guys. Scuttle panel, that was hard work, because these are spring loaded. You can see how tight they are. I said to Chris, how am I going to roll both of them down and get that on there without marking it? And then I just used a bit of initiative. I thought, do you know what, let's give it a go. So I am going to show you what I did. Ratchet strap. Then I went, let me get that hooked on, down there to that one, and you can pretty much, I probably should have set this up beforehand, shouldn't I? That's basically, guys, what I've done. And then I strapped it up, pulled that one down by hand, and then the other side, pushed it down by hand, and managed to get that scuttle panel in there. Now, initially, we thought the windscreen was going to have to come out because of this rubber, but went on okay. Front bumper, I know I'm getting carried away, but I've just stuck the bolts back in it, lined it up where it needs to be, and then just gone round. See, one there, there's one at the back, there's one here holding the scuttle on, and then I've just put 3 across the scuttle, and another one on there, bumper to wing, just to stop it marking it. And then obviously it was raining. I said to Chris, what shall I do next? He went, mate, just keep putting it together until you run out of ideas or run out of bits. Guys, who remembers having this done? Now, you would think that has had a coat of paint, wouldn't you? But it hasn't. That has been vapour blasted. And it was done a long time ago. A very long time ago. Look at that, 3.9 litre that says in there, look. And then on there, 4.2, so it's the same plenum. But I've just found the inside part, I've put that on, and I said to Chris, I wonder where the bolts are for it. And we had a box there, and that is just stripping the engine, and that box was right next to that. So really got quite a lot of bits back on this that I wasn't expecting. I've put both rocker covers back on it because they just have bags over the top of them. And there's, again, this engine, unless you're taking it out and painting it, it doesn't actually need any work, does it? We had this running, and we had it running lovely. So apart from a good service, I think, this engine would fire up, wouldn't it? Obviously, there's a few, all the wiring's got to come back through here now to feed the engine, but it is all there. I'm going to nip this down, and I'm actually going to put that back on. And then in a moment, Chris is going to help me actually lift the bonnet on, because I'm not going to be able to do that on my own, just to protect it. Now I've put all them bits back on, but having that blasted, vapour blasted, I'm sure it was, it's come out lovely, hasn't it? But look at these rocker box covers. Actually, they will clean up nice, but we had those done as well, guys, didn't we? And they are starting to oxidise a little bit. Anyway, isn't it crazy how things just lay where they're meant to go? Right, let's carry on and get all this put back together. So on with that plenum. and then start here pulling the wiring looms back through the bulkhead. There's so many little plugs and fiddly wires to get through there, but you just got to be patient, poke them through one at a time from the inside, keep getting out, pulling them through from the outside, and it's going to be the same case here on the other side. Apart from this side had twice as many wires where it goes to that fuse box, but we got there with it in the end. Chris has been here today, guys. He's just helped me put that bonnet on. You all right over there, mate?
Yeah.
He's relaying some cables and some other bits and pieces. I think that's enough. I really do think that that's enough. We actually had some of that paint as well, and that quarter panel was raw. I mean, we just had some aerosols, you can probably see. Hardness grey, hardness green, we've got them up there. So I thought I'm just going to use one of them just to protect that quarter panel. So I've put it over the top because it was raw. Look how nice that paint is compared to that colour. Because the bonnet hasn't been flatted off, has it? But that is the original colour, and that's been, obviously that scuttle panel has been painted, as has the roof. Again, guys, the indicators, I've just thrown them in there because they literally just push and clip in, but I will show you how much I've done under the bonnet. Let me get this propped up. So yeah, quite a lot. There is like a little fuse box that just goes up here, and then everything kind of bolts to it, brackets, but you can see the wiring I've pulled up through the hole, both sides. In fact, I already said that in the time lapse, and you can see it's just a couple of relays left down there now. And then that side, everything's through, bung's almost through. And again, all you've got down there is that box that needs bolting up. Can open the door this side. You've got that box that needs bolting up, and all of that wiring actually goes with it. And then there's a metal cage there, you can see, just wants a bolt put in it, and all these relays actually clip to it. So, like I said, I think that's enough. I'll see what Chris says when he comes over in a minute, but that's as much as I can put back together, I think. Chris did just say that I've made a bit of a boo-boo. I've put the front bumper on, and we're going to need to push it back in the container, so I'm probably just going to have to quickly whip that off. It is only a couple of bolts, isn't it? So, because he's going to need to push off the front cross member. Yeah, there's nothing else to push off. We'll see what he says, and I think that's going to be enough. So quite happy with that. Forks back on and ready to push back into the container. Hopefully not for too long, guys. Hopefully someone does want this. We can get it out and it gets to see the road once again. What do you think, mate?
Well, it's in a lot less bits than it was.
Yeah.
Which is better really for selling it, better for moving it.
Yeah, definitely. Nice to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's a shame, isn't it? But we're never going to have the time, are we?
No.
It's how long's it been? 3 years, and we haven't found the time in 3 years. So
the time or the painter.
We're not going to find time in the next 3 years, are we? Let's be honest. So yeah, I think you're doing the right thing.
Let's not kid anyone. It's still a big project.
Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of hours left in that.
It is.
We estimated, what did we say? Like 200 hours.
Yeah.
So not for the faint-hearted, really, but on the other hand, a lot of the hard work done.
Yeah,
so,
all the welding's done.
Yeah, so you know, it's more cosmetic now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I told you, I've pulled all the looms back through the holes and the bungs, so they're back in the engine bay.
We've seen these for sort of 50 grand.
Upwards. Yeah.
Haven't we? So, you know, it's still a lot of room in it, and I don't know if you've mentioned what we think.
I haven't mentioned price. I think we're being unrealistic. I think we both agreed when we said we'd like 10 grand for it, yeah. But you just said it yourself, they are fortunes, aren't they? So yeah. Realistically, what are we going to take for that car? If people watch this video and someone says I'm genuinely interested, because I know now that car can be put on the back of a trailer and have every single part that's on them shelves inside it,
Yeah,
safely.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's all one piece now. You haven't got to turn up with a lorry for the Range Rover and a van for the bits.
That's true.
What will we take for it?
Well, I'll hold my hand up.
Yeah,
You
well,
think that's
I think that's very reasonable. Yeah, $5 grand.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested in that, we will take $5 grand for it. That's half of originally. We don't mind saying what we said, but I think at $5 grand, we'll probably just about get our money back as well, won't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Which we'll be happy with. And someone, let's not forget what.
Quite a good plate, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
got a plate that comes with it, and let's not forget what this is: an LSE soft dash with the full Brooklands kit. So very, very sought after. They did this without the kit, just the LSE, didn't they? Yeah, so the kit itself is worth quite a bit of money, and yeah, but it's going to go as a parcel, one thing. We're not breaking it. We're not taking any bits off it. It's going to go exactly as it is.
That's right.
Put back to how you've just seen it now. Obviously, we don't mind putting the bumpers on once we get it out to go on the back of a lorry. So I think that's it, mate. Sorry, you get back to what you was doing. Let's spin this round. That is going to be...
Someone fancies it. If not, classic car auction, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we could put it down opposite Parker in there next one, couldn't we?
Yeah, or there's loads.
There is loads. And I've noticed as well, a lot of them do that not on site. So it can actually stay here until the auction's over.
Yeah.
Just means we got to pull it out again and get a lot of pictures of it.
That's right.
But yeah, but just first thing this morning, Chris has got a crack on there. We've been waiting for something to turn up to do a video. So I kind of said, I'm going to pull the Range Rover out, and you'll be the first one to admit, you said, you're opening up a can of worms there. Once you get it out, you can't just half start it and put it back. So it has been all day on that, guys, but that unfortunately is going to be the end of today's video. If you did enjoy it, as usual, hit that thumbs up. Like, subscribe and share. Follow us on Instagram at Salvage Rebuilds, and of course Chris at Salvage Rebuilds Chris. What I do want to quickly put in this video, because I don't know when it's going out, is we do have a Twitter account, and it's Salvage Rebuilds UK. No underscores, no apostrophes, no question marks, no nothing. That is our account, and we never really use it, but the only reason I mention that is there is a scammer that started a Twitter account, and he's trying to follow everyone and telling them to put money in a certain account. So if anyone does try and follow you on Twitter, guys, it is not us, but if you want to follow us on there, it's Salvage Rebuilds. We'll see you all very, very soon in the next one.